event. I'd like to acknowledge Margaret Joseph, please, from not Englewood, from New Jersey's Housewives. Her mom, Margaret, also her husband Joe, that joins us. We'd like to particularly thank Brian and our friends at CNBC for the stellar work that they've done in ensuring that this event occurs. With the First Lady of the City of Englewood, my wife Amy, here, as well as Drina, who's going to grace us with some song. I would also like to acknowledge John Arthur, the director of the library, a gentleman par excellence who has made this event happen. To RJ and just about everybody that's important in our life, we're going to also introduce a very special citizen who's going to help us with the raising of the flag in a short while. Ladies and gentlemen, with an eye towards respecting social distancing, we decided this year to do this a little different. But for the backdrop, you'll hear some protesters across the street. We stand juxtaposed an abortion clinic. And with the eye towards education, expression, we chose the library to be the venue to host this very important event, with the prayer that everybody's voice will be heard, everybody's politics will be respected, and I hope that you can hear this clearly. I'm honored again to be here as the mayor of the city of Englewood. My name is Michael Wilds, to celebrate Englewood's second annual Pride celebration. I wish it could have been more of an actual celebration like the phenomenal event held last year with so many residents and visitors participating, the impassioned speakers, the tremendous networking event held afterwards in conjunction with NBC Out that gave us great opportunity to mix and mingle with old and new friends throughout our community. While our scope may be limited, our message is as important as ever, and I thank everyone who is joining us either in person or virtually for taking part in the celebration of our LGBTQ community. This Pride Month has come concurrently with another broad social movement bringing people out of the thousands to protest injustices and advocate for equality for Black Americans who have been targeted and discriminated against for so long. While the circumstances are unfortunate, it nevertheless has been inspiring to see the joining common causes of Black Lives Matter and other movements such as the LGBTQ activists and countless supporters of all backgrounds who have stood and marched with them, calling for equality for all and every oppressed persons within this nation. It's a beautiful thing to walk through a park and the city these days and to see messages of love and banners drawn in sidewalk chalk with pride rainbows next to slogans that Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, and other inclusive language as all are one. We need to foster a world where our children grow up viewing and different races and gender equality around us are as natural, and to think in a place of learning as a library that stands behind me, the brick and mortar actually exemplifies that's what's important, to act in truth, to learn, to accept their fellow human beings and stand up to injustices. We can't uphold that standard only during Pride Month or Black History Month and not say, to have those conversations that they are old, but to learn to treat universal rights and equality as the default in our everyday lives. In this way, I am heartened by the recent decision of the Supreme Court of the United States and its judgment. In the shadow of the Juneteenth this past Friday, a holiday celebrating the end of slavery in America, the notion that it took Texas 2 years later to come to the conclusion that slavery is over. You should know historians either feel that the messenger was felled, he was killed, so they didn't have social media in those days, and Texas did not get it. There were rumors that crop owners, the cotton plantation owners, wanted to get another season out of slavery, or just the pure audacity that a president in the Emancipation Proclamation had ended slavery, and they continued it for another 2 years. The notion that justice delayed is not actually justice is what we celebrated last Friday in Juneteenth. We should reflect on the common thread of these events, that justice won't serve itself, but rather we need to be active advocates in this generation for equality every day within our own spheres of influence. Despite the noise of the background, we have to forge forward. As a mayor, I have certain avenues available to make my voice heard, and I know that comes with the responsibility to act and to stand up and to lead in times of trouble. I'm proud to have marched this past weekend with local social justice advocates, and I'm humbled again to speak here as part of an effort to honor pride in the city of Englewood and everywhere in our community. I want the message to be loud and clear that the city of Englewood, in the state of New Jersey, in the nation of the United States, not just myself, but our city council, our police, fire chief, our legislators, our member of Congress, our senators, and yes, even our president and countless others stand with you and beside you, and we have a duty to stand with you, have an open ear, an open heart, and advocating for justice and dignity for every one of our residents. I thank everyone again for participating, especially the activists within the LGBTQ community and the allies around them, both today and in past generations, who fight and preserve the name of justice and equality. It is as clear now as it is always that we have an obligation to ensure that we continue to make progress towards a society that we can all be proud of. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon Margaret to lead us with a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Wilds. I'm so touching. First, I just want to say I'm so honored to be part of the second annual Pride celebration in our beautiful and diverse city of Englewood with our Mayor Michael Wilds, and I'm so honored to be part of such an amazing network, NBC Universal, and to be part of NBC Out. Thank you so much. Oh, where am I? Okay. Thank you so much for having me and keeping our city so united. We live in such an amazing, diverse city, and I thank you for that because you have made it so spectacular, and I'm so honored to be part of it with you. Though this year's celebration may look a little different, the sentiment is doubly as strong. This Pride Month not only comes off the heels of a global pandemic, but at a time in our country of social injustice that cannot be ignored. Though the last few months have been difficult for everyone, they have brought about monumental growth and change. We've had an amazing win with the Supreme Court ruling against discrimination in the workplace of the LGBTQ community. So we're not just gay about this, we're ecstatic. You know, it's so important, you know, to be an ally, and people want to know what it means to be an ally. Everybody asks me. So what can you do in your community? A great power we all possess is our voice. And if you all know me, I have a big mouth, just ask my husband. So use your voice in your community. Support equal civil rights. Speak out for gender equality. Raise awareness for the LGBTQ social movements and talk to your children. That is very important. Speak to teach this from a very young age. The sentiment is very simple. And I was taught this from March Senior when I was a very little girl. Love is love. I kept it short and sweet. It's very important. It's a monumental month. Though the Supreme Court decision was very important, we still have a lot to do moving forward. But you know what? It was a big win, and I'm super excited, and let's celebrate because we're coming off the heels of a very bad time, but with gross injustice comes big change, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret. There's a lot of drama in what you do, and there's a lot of drama in the world. And I think it's heartening for people who are watching through social media to, to kind of come to terms, to use this time in a pandemic to develop stronger relationships with those that they love and to actually learn and educate themselves. Nobody does it in a more exemplary fashion than you, and I thank you. I'd like to call upon Scott Cooper. Scott is a registered nurse with Holy Name Medical Center who's an openly gay single father of two. He told me the story how he adopted his two children with a lot of drama, maybe for an episode in your show, Margaret. But he is an endearing man who's currently an ICU nurse who's on the front lines of treating COVID patients. Last year we had a dispatcher in the Englewood Police Department. This year we have one of our unsung heroes that's on the front line of a battle we didn't envision a year ago. He's also the director of professional practice for Holy Name Medical Center, where he trained non-ICU nurses on how to handle ICU cases at the hospital as they expanded care throughout the hospital. He's truly not just a father and a role model, but a healthcare hero. We're going to ask him to help raise the flag as we have Drina give us a beautiful rendition of True Colors. I think it's a Cyndi Lauper song. I happen to be an immigration lawyer by trade. I represent Boy George, and I know that there is a great amount of value to that song, and your voice is just exquisite. So I ask both of them to step forward as we raise the flag and we listen to some beautiful bars.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, oh I realize it's hard to take courage in this world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy, taking all you can bear, just hold me up, 'cause you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. Oh, I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors, like a rainbow.
This is simply stunning. And with abortion clinic protesters in the back, I guess they were in prescription. Drama, right? That's the name of the game. We're all going through our own personal dramas, but we have a collective and we have to be there and listen to everybody. By the authority vested in me as the City of Englewood's mayor, I have a proclamation that I'm issuing. Whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities are an integral part of the Englewood's population, whereas the fight for dignity and equality for LGBTQ people is reflected in the tireless dedication of advocates, allies who strive to make this a more inclusive society, and whereas the City of Englewood celebrates the diversity of its people and their right to live their lives and out loud, free of discrimination, fear, and prejudice, whereas the month of June is recognized internationally as Pride Month to commemorate the Stonewall riots of June 1969, when the people in the LGBTQ community in New York City, at great personal and physical risk to themselves, courageously fought back against the increasing hostility and discrimination they faced from police at the Stonewall Inn, which was a refuge for queer people of color, homeless young people, and drag queens. And whereas Pride celebrations may look different this year, but in the City of Englewood, no matter the circumstances, we are proud to support the LGBTQ community rights to live their lives out and out loud. As we celebrate Pride across the country, we must continue to demand equal rights. Now, therefore, I, Michael Wilds, Mayor of the City of Englewood, do hereby declare June 2020 as LGBTQ Pride Month, and do urge all the citizens of the City of Englewood to remain committed to protecting civil rights of the LGBTQ community. As we part ways, we remind ourselves of the challenge we have those that passed in our minds, and the challenges that this great nation will face. With the good citizens of those that assembled today and hear this calling, I wish you Godspeed, good health, and only to stay safe. Thank you.